Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. Welcome everyone, I'm Fabio Ferrucci. I work as oral training professor, students counselor and didactic supervisor at Conservatorio di Musica Boito in Parma, in the north of Italy. Unfortunately, this sentence is not mine. It's by Henry Ford, a guy who knew about networking much more than me. In this short presentation, starting from the evolution of oral training in Italy, I'll outline the state-of-the-art of Sentiamoci a Parma, a growing Eartraining European network. Our story starts in Italy. Over a period of about 8 years, oral training in Italian conservatories had basically been one thing, a subject named theory, solfeggio, and musical dictation, with fixed programs defined in 1930 by the National Ministry of Education. During the first 3 years of studies, you had to learn how to execute spoken solfeggios, sight sing and transpose melodies, transcribe 8-bar melodies played at the piano. After these 3 years, nothing was provided for the students' oral education. Then, from 1999 on, Italian conservatories went through a severe renewal process, which led them to become higher education institutions. This change brought two key elements in our story. The word solfeggio disappeared. The former subject was transformed into theory, rhythm, and musical perception, and ear training suddenly appeared as a new subject. Every institution was granted a large degree of didactic autonomy, so every conservatory and every single teacher felt free to change programs at their own will. But in 1999, many solfeggio teachers hardly knew what ear training was. Maybe something like this, or this. In many cases, conservatory professors, as it often happens after decades of never-changing curriculum, were not favorably disposed towards the reform process, so for them ear training was actually something like that. One might even add that our national ministry provided no guidelines at all about what to do regarding this new subject, nor any kind of learning outcome. Summarizing, we had 3 kinds of reaction. Many teachers did not grasp the wind of change and went on doing what they did before. In some intermediate cases, teachers tried to integrate new ideas and extend old curricula according to their own knowledges and abilities, maybe attending retraining courses or consulting new textbooks. Lastly, when a single teacher had an up-to-date training or was well up in music pedagogy, fast and often radical changes happened. But in my opinion, a fourth way was possible. I knew that ear training had a long-standing tradition outside Italy, so instead of starting from scratch or proceeding by trial and error, why not going and seeing what colleagues were teaching in the most important European institution? Trying out the concrete work of other teachers is not just like reading a book. That's why I began traveling around Europe, taking advantage of the Erasmus Plus program. From Spain to Russia, from Croatia to Norway, I went visiting as many music academies as I could, carrying out observation and job shadowing activities, sitting at the school desk just as if I were a student again, as well as experiencing teaching to students other than mine. Needless to say, this experience changed my life forever. Not only I had the chance of learning new methodologies, but it was also the occasion for looking back at the whole learning process in ear training. Teaching in a different environment forces you to adapt your work and use your strategies with a higher level of awareness. In this reverse grand tour, from Italy abroad, I could notice some recurring facts. Ear training teachers too often had to deal with the same didactic issues. As a result, many of them reached similar solutions after spending long time in personal research without knowing each other at all. Now and then, someone devised a revolutionary system, but seldom other colleagues got to know about it. Not everyone is interested in publishing his own teaching material, and even if this happens, many publishers can only count on a very limited distribution for their books. Furthermore, not so often you find teachers struggling to spread their own secrets, with the result that ideas have very little chances of circulating. From time to time, I came upon colleagues who had found the solution to problems I had been experiencing for years. More than once, their answers were so unbelievably simple that I thought, no way, it's such an obvious solution, why didn't I discover it myself? Teaching in a different environment forces you to adapt your work and use your strategies with a higher level of awareness. As a result, you have the chance of considering the way you teach with totally new eyes, and often to dramatically improve it. In many foreign countries, and sometimes within the same institution, I could notice the same level of horizontal and vertical fragmentation I had been experiencing in Italy. Not every national Ministry of Education is willing to force institutions in strictly adhering to a unique program, and usually prefer to provide the general guidelines which allow a wide range of differentiation for each institution and each professor. Sometimes these guidelines are so weak that learning outcomes of high schools only partially meet the access requirements of academies. Certainly, this grand tour was enhancing my knowledges, but I thought it could also be a golden opportunity to link all of this expertise scattered throughout Europe at a higher level. Fragmentation is not a trouble itself, and can turn into richness and fruitful diversity if you just find the way of connecting people. For this reason, in 2015, I started organizing at my institution an Eartraining International workshop named Sentiamoci Parma. Since then, every year by the end of January, several outstanding professors, the most interesting ones I've met during my mobilities, are invited in order to give real lessons to our students, while many other teachers gather to attend them for mutual observation and discussion. Teachers can participate under the frame of Erasmus Plus program or other mobility consortia. Both mobilities for teaching and training are possible, depending on the teacher's activities. Lessons are held in English and translated into Italian or vice versa. During the 4 days of Sentiamoci Parma, teachers and students have the chance of exchanging opinions and new methodologies, seeing the colleagues' work and learning on the job, not just a theoretical conference, but first-hand experienced lessons. A network of excellence has been created this way, connecting expertise with the remarkable dissemination of good practices and the deep awareness to be part of something crossing over our own classrooms. In a 6-year span, Sentiamoci Parma has built up a rapidly growing network of more than 100 teachers from 25 different countries. Many of these professors are continuously in touch in order to compare ideas, good practices, methodologies, and mobilities too. Some teachers learned in Parma about the interesting work of another teacher they knew nothing about, and decided to go on mobility for training and/or teaching at the colleague's institution. Usually they travel alone, but on some occasions they move together with their own students. Due to its history and geographical position, Italy has always been an open bridge between different cultures and people, so no surprise that we are quite willing in allowing diversities to come into contact. Thank you so much for your kind attention.